Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The Election Commission has made the first big step in the direction of making political parties more responsible and accountable in announcing and implementing their electoral promises, especially ones that involve promises in kind or cash. In other words, freebies outside of welfare schemes. Pitching for the voters' right to be given more information to make an informed choice, the Election Commission has proposed making full disclosures on the fiscal impact of promises and where the money will come from. They've asked political parties to share their thoughts on what the EC is proposing now. The EC in fact says, framing of manifesto is the right of parties, but Election Commission cannot overlook the undesirable impact of some of the promises and offers on the conduct of free and fair polls and level playing field. This, remember, is also following a big debate in the Supreme Court on this very issue, even as a plea asking precisely this, that political parties should give more transparency in the promises, is heard. Are we finally then moving in the direction of an informed debate on freebies and a possible curb on this unending promises spate? Will political parties be forced to disclose how they plan to fund their freebies, how they plan to implement, what is going to be the cost of it to not just the state exchequer, but eventually the citizen? And will the culture of today's gain over tomorrow's pain be arrested? Those are the questions we will take to our guests in just a bit. But first up, take a look at what the ECI has proposed. It gives a sense of what they're trying to do in line with what the Supreme Court has also said. The Election Commission of India has suggested a format for disclosure on promises made to aid standardization and comparison. When all parties make such similar promises, for example, 200 units of electricity free, they will provide some details on that promise, and then voters will be able to compare their plans. Disclosure on the financial impact of the promises made for voters to make an informed choice, a disclosure on the financial implication of the promises and the impact on the state's fiscal health. This is very important because we don't sometimes understand how bad something could be a few years down the line on our own finances, because ultimately state finances come from us, the voters. And disclosure should mention financial resources required for that promise to be fulfilled and the ways to finance that promise. This is most important. Once this is provided, then experts can truly debate whether the plan being provided by a political party is actually authentic and workable or not. Take a look at the format that has been provided for political parties to do exactly this. This is exactly the performer of sorts that the Election Commission has shared. First, the extent and expanse of the coverage, like individual, family, community, BPL line or all population. This gives you an idea of the targeted people the scheme is meant for. Second, the quantification of the physical coverage. This will of course give you an idea of the number of people who are covered under that particular scheme. Then there is also, of course, quantification of financial implications of the promises made, basically how much money is needed to fulfill that electoral promise or even a manifesto promise. And number 4, availability of the financial resources. So what is already available in the state funds, all of this will have to be filled as part of the declarations that the political parties will make. Finally, there is a point of ways and means of raising resources for meeting the additional expenditure. For example, that could come by increasing tax, non-tax revenues, rationalization of expenditure, additional borrowings, and any other sources to be specified. Importantly here, you would get to know what the impact of that freebie is going to be eventually on your pocket, because remember, there are no free lunches as a society. There may be as an individual, because someone is definitely paying even for what others are getting. Now that this proposal has been sent to political parties, a quick reminder of what the centre's stand on freebies, quote-unquote, has been. They've said that freebies are often not part of manifestos. They are announced only in political rallies ahead of elections. Freebies culture elevated to an art. Elections only are fought on this these days. If freebies are considered welfare, it will lead to an economic disaster. And Solicitor General had also, while representing the central government, said that they propose a committee with various members to look into this issue. Election Commission notably had at that time said that they cannot be part of this committee because they're a constitutional body. But here's also a look at what other parties have said in court. The Aam Aadmi Party is obviously vociferously against terming what is their politics primarily as freebie politics. They've opposed the formulation of the expert body and its mandate on deciding what is freebie, etc. DMK is another party which says that welfare scheme is for the marginalized, it cannot be termed as freebies. The Congress by and large has also taken a similar position that policies for the marginalized classes cannot be termed as freebies. So the big debate that's coming up, is this the right step in the right direction with the Election Commission of India sending its proposal on greater responsibility and accountability on freebies to political parties? That debate is coming up, but first up, a quick few political reactions.
फ्रीबीज को रोकना बहुत जरूरी है। राज्यों के ऊपर 70 लाख करोड़ का कर्जा पहले ही है। केंद्र और राज्य मिला दें तो लगभग 150 लाख करोड़ का कर्ज है। अगर इसे अभी भी नहीं रोका गया, आने वाले समय में हमारी आर्थिक स्थिति पाकिस्तान और लंका जैसी हो जाएगी। वर्ल्ड बैंक लोन देना बंद कर देगा, ना अमेरिका लोन देगा, ना जापान लोन देगा, अगर हमने फ्रीबीज को नहीं कंट्रोल किया तो। जो जिस तरीके से कर्ज बढ़ता जा रहा है, मैं इलेक्शन कमीशन के इस निर्णय का स्वागत करता हूं कि वो मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में अमेंडमेंट करेंगे।
जनता इसलिए टैक्स देती है कि उनको और उनकी जिंदगी में जो सहूलियतें हैं वो सरकार दे सके, चाहे वो बिजली हो, चाहे वो पानी हो, चाहे वो स्कूल हो, चाहे वो अस्पताल हो, चाहे वो ट्रांसपोर्ट की सुविधा हो, और वो सब देना सरकारों की मूल जिम्मेदारी।
I want to go across to the guests who are joining us. Anuja Kapoor is from the Delhi BJP unit. Siddharth Sharma is from the Aam Aadmi Party. Sarvanan is joining us from the DMK. And also Kishore Subramaniam, financial expert, is joining us. I want to begin with my expert today before I get in my political representative.